Right now, the pilot episode for The Amazing Digital Circus has over 280 million views, which is wild for a show that came out months ago. With its wacky-looking characters and mind-bending premise, it has been able to attract a massive audience from all over the globe, which begs the question, what makes it so good? If you're the type that doesn't like to think much, you might as well say it's popular because of its eccentric characters and call it a day. But there is much more to the show most people don't notice. If you really want to know what makes the show so damn good, you might want to strap in because it gets a bit bumpy. The characters. Without beating around the bush, we know a lot of people love The Amazing Digital Circus because of its characters. The show mimics the bright colors and smooth textures of a PlayStation 1 cutscene, complete with rubbery limbs pulled right out of a Looney Tunes movie. As if that wasn't enough, you also have to consider the deep sense of dread and other aspects of the setting that remind us of eldritch horrors. Let's face it, there aren't a lot of shows out there where the main anatomist is a rogue AI with large teeth and eyes for a head. The weirdness doesn't just end with Kane. Other characters like Zubul and Jax are so different, they might as well be from different universes, yet they all find themselves in the inescapable prison that is the circus. Their looks aside, you can really tell that Gooseworx pulled all the stops to bring the characters to life. From the almost psychotic Kinger to Zubul, who is just fed up with everything, you can't help but find a character you want to root for. To round it all off, we are introduced to Pomni the Jester in the pilot episode, and she becomes the lens through which we see the circus. As with any sane human being, getting trapped in a VR nightmare you can't escape from is literally hell on earth, so we can't help but sympathize with Pomni. Watching her struggle to come to terms with being trapped in the circus forever is outright hilarious. And even though we might go to hell for laughing at her predicament, you can't help but get drawn in by everything as it unfolds. If you're a fan of horror flicks like Nightmare on Sesame Street, Poppy Playtime, and Five Nights at Freddy's, you should feel at home with The Amazing Digital Circus. And that's what the show's creators want you to think. They want you all cozy, thinking it's your regular dark comedy until it swings at you with something you never expected. The premise. You might be tempted to think there is nothing more to The Amazing Digital Circus other than its unique character. But you'd be so wrong. It doesn't matter if you create the most badass character ever. If the premise isn't good enough, the show will fail spectacularly. The Amazing Digital Circus throws its viewers in a completely fresh setting, using the mysterious VR circus as the stage. Viewers are introduced to this unsettling space through the eyes of Pomni, a 25-year-old woman who has just entered the circus and can't remember how she got there. After Kane whips up a new name for Pomni, he flies her over the grounds and tells her a few things about her new prison. Before she can make sense of everything happening, Kane takes her back into the circus and sends her and the gang on a new adventure. Most viewers might not realize it as it happens, but the show doesn't give you time to digest everything as it happens. You are constantly being forced to learn new info about the circus, and just like Pomni, you aren't given enough time to digest anything. Just when we thought we might finally get a break to see how Pomni takes everything, she gets introduced to abstraction, and boy does it rock her world. At first, the only thing she could think about was never being able to take off the VR headset that brought her to this hellscape. But she also has to stop thinking about it unless she wants to abstract into a mindless monster with several flickering eyes. We won't blame her if she decides to give up and just abstract, but for all we know, the creators aren't letting her off that easily. Since we only have the pilot and a few trailers to go off of, it's clear that there are a lot of secrets begging to be discovered in the circus. Like, why can't the other characters see the disappearing exit door? Or what really exists outside the void? These are questions the show wants you to think about, and you can trust you won't get the answers anytime soon. Just like waking up as a kid on Christmas morning to your gifts under the tree. There's nothing more thrilling than trying to guess what gifts Santa left behind for you. And this is exactly what Gooseworx has done with the show. It gives you a piece of the puzzle to get you hooked, but not too much that you get bored. We might be in the dark about a lot of things, but the one thing we are sure of is how deep the lore will get by the end of the first season. If you care about learning everything there is to know about Kane's crazy circus, you should subscribe to the channel because no one covers the Amazing Digital Circus quite like us. The creators. Think of your favorite restaurants with several hundred reviews on sites like TripAdvisor. While these restaurants might have stunning views of the sea or a heavenly ambiance, it all wouldn't matter if the food was bad, and this is where the chef comes in. The chef has to know the right combination of spices and herbs to make the dish pop, and this is exactly what the Amazing Digital Circus has going for it. Its creators Glitch Production and Gooseworx aren't bumbling newbies trying out their first show to see what works. They know what it's like to put some shows out in the wild, and they know what people like. Anyone can slap together a few clips and claim to be an animation company, but to really thrive making content that people love is something few can boast of. Despite being an indie animation company, they have a long history putting out great content that people want to watch. With Murder Drones and Meta Runner, they know what it's like to make action-packed horror flicks that anyone can get into. Don't even get us started on their work on SMG4. If you're looking to laugh your socks off and you haven't heard of their SMG4 channel, then you are sorely left behind. Putting the rising animation company aside, Glitch also picked a mad genius to bring the Amazing Digital Circus to life, and we don't know if anyone else could have done it better. Before making a name for herself in the computer animation scene, Cooper Smith Goodwin, Gooseworx as she is commonly known, turned a few heads with short films on YouTube. With titles such as Elena the Bounty Hunter and Ghost of the Year, it was only a matter of time before she put out her masterpiece. With help from prolific voice actors like Lizzie Freeman and Michael Kovac, the Amazing Digital Circus was destined to be a slam dunk, but we didn't know just how good it could get. After watching the show's pilot a few times, we have come to the realization that only a mad genius could create a show this wild. Gooseworx was inspired by the popular short story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And as far as post-apocalyptic sci-fi stories go, it's really mental. Only an insane person would think it's okay to include something as horrific as abstraction in her show. And don't get us started on the amazing jokes, because they always hit the right spot. Having someone who isn't afraid to push the limits of their art and knows the right combination is a recipe for greatness. And so far, the Amazing Digital Circus is on the right path. Right combination of everything. If you're anything like us, all it took to fall in love with the Amazing Digital Circus was the strange-looking characters and the catchy theme song. For others, it might be the subtle authority in Kane's voice or how Jack smiles in spite of his imprisonment. In the end, what makes the show stand out from other animated series out there is how it has everything you need in a show. It's not just crazy and scary, but it's also very funny, and it makes you forget about your lame existence for a minute. Finding the right combination is the key to putting out a hit show, but it's no small feat considering all the moving parts. The genius of the Amazing Digital Circus is how it makes everything look so simple, despite being the opposite. Intentionally or not, the show echoes that funny feeling of logging onto your favorite app and doom-scrolling through AI-generated images, good jokes, zany ads, and random glimpses of horror, all mashed into an endless slurry of content. Because of this genius, a faithful fandom has risen out of the shadows, willing to protect and exploit the show at every given opportunity. We don't know if the Amazing Digital Circus will be able to live up to the expectations of its fans. But one thing we are sure of is it will try its hardest not to disappoint. If you've been wondering what it feels like to leap through virtual rings of fire, you're in luck, because we offer the next best thing. Before you perform any dangerous stunt, it's in your best interest to click our next video. It's all about avoiding unwanted abstractions over at Digital Circus Backstage, so you might also want to subscribe to the channel.